Hello and welcome to level 6 of the A2 level with Perfectly Spoken. This is lesson 6, and today we are going to do a lesson on the adverbs of frequency and the question, how often, and how to answer the question. Okay, so let's have a look at the exact contents of the lesson. So we've got, yes, adverbs of frequency, and what do they all mean? We've got how do we use them? Okay, so we'll look a little bit at the position, the meaning, grammar, and the fantastic question, how often? How often? And ways to answer this question. Okay, so are you ready? Do you have your notebook and your pen? Are you ready? Yes? Okay. Well, then let's start. Okay. All right. So, first of all, true or false? Now, in this section, I want you to look at the sentences and think about if the sentences are true for you or false. Okay, so you go, yeah, that's true. Okay, yes. Or no, it's not true. Okay, so just have a look at these sentences here. All right. Okay, so we've got, I am often late. My mother is usually grumpy in the mornings. My mother is never on time. She is always 5 minutes late. I am sometimes too tired to go out on Saturdays. I am always at home on Sunday evenings. Okay, now before you decide if they're true or false, let's just look at some vocabulary. Got late. I am often late. Be late. So you arrive not at 6 o'clock, but at 7 o'clock. That's late. It's the same, be late or arrive late. In English, we can use it with the verb be, but the meaning is the same. Okay, so I am often late. Grumpy. I love this adjective because I don't know, for me it represents what it sounds like. Okay, so grumpy is bleh, bleh, kind of, in the morning you don't want to talk, you don't feel happy. It's that kind of sensation. Okay, so my mother is usually grumpy in the mornings. Is that true? Is your mother grumpy in the mornings? Are you usually grumpy in the mornings? Me, no. I'm not usually grumpy in the mornings. Sometimes, but no. Okay, and another piece of vocabulary. Let's look at on time. On time. When you arrive, so for example, you have a meeting at 6 o'clock and you arrive at 6 o'clock. That is on time, to be punctual. So, my mother is never on time. She is always 5 minutes late. Maybe in your country, 5 minutes late is not late. I know that here in Spain, if you say 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock is maybe 6 o'clock, maybe 6:05, maybe 6:10, maybe 6:15, maybe 7 o'clock. So it depends on your country. Okay, so my mother is never on time. She is always 5 minutes late. And another comment, we've got, again, 5 minutes late. 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late. Ah, I am sometimes too tired. Too tired. Here, too means makes the adjective like very, 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 very tired. So you can't go out. Okay. And go out, do you remember? Do you remember this from one of our lessons from before? We looked at to stay in and to go out. Okay, so remember, it's important to remember. Look at your notebook if you don't remember. Okay, so we've got, and I am always at home on Sunday evenings. This is true for me because I have children, so we have to do the bath and homework and prepare the children for school the next day. Okay, so are these sentences for you true or false? So now we're going to look at the adverbs frequency. Can you identify the adverbs of frequency in the sentences? Okay, so here's one highlighted, always is highlighted. Okay, so can you identify the adverbs of frequency? Okay, so we've got I am often late. Often, often. Often is an adverb of frequency. Usually, usually. Notice the pronunciation. Usually, no. Usually, like you, usually. And then a j sound, usually, usually. Is similar to normally. Normally, usually. Okay. And the next one, never, never, never. And the next one, sometimes, sometimes, sometimes. And the next one, always, always, always. Okay, now we're going to have a little look at the meaning of these adverbs of frequency. Okay, so here we've got some percentages. It's not exact science. No, it's just an example. Okay, so for example, always means, in this case, it would be 100%. Okay, always. All right. And we have other ones. So always, yes, always. I always have breakfast, for example. So always, always, always. Then we've got usually. So maybe not always, but nearly always. Often, yes, often. And then 50%, sometimes. Then, well, occasionally, occasionally. And then never, no, but hardly ever. So here it's only 3%. So not never, but nearly never, hardly ever. Okay, and then never. So if you look, it's, for example, in terms of frequency, you can see the frequency always is at the top. It's every day, every week, always. Usually, and then it goes down, down, down until never. Okay. I think the best way to think about it is to look at the examples. Perhaps we could look at the examples again, just quickly. Okay, so here, just again, have a look at the examples. So you're often late. That means you're in the habit of being late. Usually 80% of the time, never 0%. Sometimes 50% and always 100%. Okay. All right. So now we've looked at these sentences, looked at the adverbs of frequency, and we've looked at the meaning. Now we're going to have a look at the position. So let's have a look at these example sentences here. We've got I am always late. So you've got the verb to be and then the adverb of frequency. Not I always am late. No, I am always late. My mother is always grumpy. My mother is never on time. She is always 5 minutes late. I am sometimes too tired to go out on Saturdays. I am always at home on Sunday evenings. So you've got the verb to be and then the adverb of frequency. Okay. So it's the verb to be plus the adverb of frequency. But there's always a but in English. So let's have a look at these examples. There's something to see. There's something to notice. What is it? I always get up late on Saturdays. We never play football on Fridays. We usually go to the beach in the summer. I don't usually have breakfast in the mornings. He doesn't always reply to my emails. So here, as you can see, you have the adverb of frequency and then the verb. Why? Because these verbs are not the verb to be. Okay, so it's only with the verb to be that you put the adverb of frequency afterwards. Notice also here, notice with the sentence, with the auxiliary verbs, the adverb of frequency still goes before the main verb, but after the auxiliary verb. Let's have a look again. Okay, so you can see in blue, you've got the auxiliary verb, in green, the adverb of frequency, and in red, the main verb. Okay, right. So let's just summarize that. Maybe you want to write this in your notebook. Okay, so here we go. Verb to be plus the adverb of frequency. In the case of other verbs, it's adverb of frequency, then the verb. And in the case of an auxiliary verb, for example, in negatives, we would say the auxiliary verb, the adverb of frequency, and then the main verb. Okay. So it sounds complicated, but really you just need to practice. Write some sentences. Write sentences about you. Write sentences about your best friend. Write sentences about your mother. Write sentences about your father. Write sentences using the information. And, very, very important, that the sentences are true. Okay? True sentences. It's very easy to write, John is always late. But who's John? No, you must write sentences that are true, because then the language is more meaningful to you. Okay, so you must write sentences that are true. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to show you one exception to when we're talking about frequency, and here it's with expression often or very often. Okay, the position of often or very often is more flexible, basically. Okay, so have a look at these examples. You've got, I don't go out very often. I don't go out very often, or I don't very often go out. So you can put it at the end. We don't eat out very often, or he doesn't see his mum very often. So it quite frequently goes at the end of the sentence. Okay, so that one is an exception. And we use this in spoken English quite a lot. So it's a good expression to use. Okay. Notice it's very often, but the verb is in negative. So I don't go out very often means I only go out occasionally, or I only go out sometimes. Right, okay. Now, in this section, I want you to look at the sentences and then write the sentences or say the sentences, but with the adverb of frequency. The adverb of frequency. That's quite difficult to say. Adverb of frequency in the correct position. Okay, so are you ready? Have you got your notebook and your pen? All right, let's have a look. Okay, so I go to the gym. What's the answer? I sometimes go to the gym. I sometimes go to the gym. He is never late. He is never late. She hardly ever goes skiing. Okay, and some more. Keep going. My teacher is ill. My teacher is hardly ever ill. Children are naughty. Naughty is like they are bad. They break things, or they don't do what you say. So it's naughty. And the pronunciation naughty, not naughty, no. Naughty. Children are sometimes naughty. Okay, this one. I teach from Monday to Fridays. I usually teach from Monday to Fridays. Okay, so how are you doing? Do you want to do some more? Should we have a look at some more examples? Because practice is important. Okay, so we'll just do a few more. All right, here we go. This is true for me. I usually stay in on Sunday. Listen to the pronunciation of that. I usually stay in on. Stay in on. Stay in on. Stay in on Stay in on. I usually stay in on Sunday evenings. Yes, I think my children would be very happy to have ice cream for breakfast, but no, we never eat ice cream for breakfast. And here, call me is, they phone me on the telephone. Okay, so I hope that you got that correct. Now we're going to go on to the last point of the lesson. This is the question, how often? How often? So how often is talking about frequency. How often do you do something? So, for example, how often do you study English? Every day, once a week. Okay, so it's asking a question about frequency. Let's have a look at some example questions. All right, so we've got, how often do you go to the gym? How often do you speak English? How often do you clean your teeth? How often do you go on holiday? How often do you call your mum? How often does your boss speak English? Okay, now let's have a look at how you might answer these questions, because when you're answering these questions, maybe you say sometimes, never, always, occasionally, hardly ever, or maybe you give more exact information. Okay, so let's look at how you can answer this question, how often, in a more exact way. Okay, so let's see. So example question, how often do you go to the gym? Now imagine you go to the gym on Monday, on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, on Thursdays, on Fridays, on Saturdays, on Sundays. You go to the gym every day, okay? So here you can see that this person goes to the gym every day in red, every day. So, okay. And what about this situation? So this person only goes to the gym on which day? Yes, on Friday. So just one day a week. So we say one time, we say once a week, once a week, once a week, once a week. Okay. Notice the pronunciation. It's once a week, once a week, once a week, once a week. Okay, and then we've got, what's this? Do you know? So this person goes to the gym on Mondays and Fridays. So that's 2. So twice a week, twice a week. 2 times is twice. So you got once, one time, and 2 times, twice. Notice the pronunciation is not twice or twiste or twice. It's twice. So you kind of have to open your mouth like twice, like nice. Okay, twice a week, twice a week. Okay, and then you've got, after that, it's once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Okay. So how often do you go to the gym? So how often do you go to the gym? Maybe you never go to the gym. I don't know. Okay. Let's So I'm going to put some questions and I want you just to think about your answers. How would you answer these questions for you? Okay, remember, you have to answer with something that's true because it makes the language more meaningful. Okay, all right, so let's have a look. How often do you go to the gym? How often do you speak English? How often do you clean your teeth? How often do you go on holiday? How often do you call your mum? And how often does your boss speak English? Okay, I'm going to quickly answer those questions for me, okay? So, for example, how often do you go to the gym? Never. I don't go to the gym. Maybe soon I will start going to the gym, but at the moment, never. Okay, how often do you speak English? Well, obviously, I speak English every day. Every day. How often do you clean your teeth? Well, I clean my teeth twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. I know sometimes people do it 3 times a day, but no, me no. How often do you go on holiday? Well, I usually go on holiday about once, maybe twice a year, depends. And how often do you call your mum? Not enough. I want to call my mum more, but usually about once or twice a week. I usually call my mum. And how often does your boss speak English? Well, my boss is she's American actually. In one place I work, and then my boss here is English. So I have a lot of bosses, and they speak English every day. They always speak English, in fact. So for me, that's an easy answer. What about you? Do you have a boss? And does your boss speak English? Okay. All right. So now we are going to do a very quick listening. Okay, so you just have to listen, listen, listen and relax. Okay, listen and relax. All right. Now, I want to talk to you about my friend, Maria. I met Maria in about 1982, I think, or 1983, maybe. So Maria is a very good friend of mine. She lives in the south of England on the coast, and she is very active. She's got 3 children. She works as a primary school teacher, and she goes running every day. Crazy. Not only that, she goes to the gym twice a week. She does dance classes with her children on Saturday mornings, and she usually drives to London about twice a month to see her parents. She's always happy and cheerful, and she never complains. And in my opinion, my friend Maria is a superwoman. Now, obviously, I don't see her very often because we don't live close to each other. She lives in England, I live in Spain, but I always try to meet up with her when I am in England. And even though we hardly ever talk on the phone, we always remain very good friends. So that's true. Okay, All right. So now I will show you the text. You can see how much you understood. You can also look at the text and identify the adverbs of frequency, the important language, so that you notice all the important information that we have talked about in this class. So, for example, this is a kind of suggestion of a procedure, okay? So, for example, you can listen and read. Listen and read. Listen and read is very good for pronunciation, to make you notice the pronunciation. You can listen without reading, okay? Again, to try to get more of the information. Then notice language. That's when you go, where are the adverbs of frequency? So if you're watching this as a recording, you can watch it again and again and again and try and notice the language. You can try reading the text out loud. So you actually try and read it, but focusing on pronunciation. Imagine you are English, or imagine you are from New York, for example, and really try to focus on the pronunciation. Okay? So here we are. I will show you a moment. Sorry. Just have to go back a bit. Right, here we are. Sorry. Now I'm ready. Here you go. Here's the text. Maria is a very good friend of mine. She lives in the south of England on the coast. She is very active. She's got 3 children. She works as a primary school teacher and she goes running every day. Not only that, she goes to the gym twice a week. She does dance classes with her children on Saturday mornings, and she usually drives to London about twice a month to see her parents. She is always happy and cheerful, and she never complains. In my opinion, my friend Maria is a superwoman. Obviously, I don't see her very often because we don't live close to each other, but I always try to meet up with her when I'm in England. And even though we hardly ever talk on the phone, we always remain very good friends. Okay, so what did you think? I tried to read it as naturally as possible, okay, to provide you with authentic listening practice. It's very important. I know I always say that, but it is very, very important. Okay, all right. So, now, this is an activity I think is very important. No, it's good to do. Okay, write a similar text about yourself or about one of your friends or your family. Write a similar text. This is a very good way to consolidate the information from the class. Okay, so I hope you found all of that interesting and do the work. You can, if you subscribe, you can watch the lesson again and again and again. And hopefully your speaking will improve, the complexity of your language will improve. Okay, so well done. Thank you very much. Here is a summary of what we did in the class. What are adverbs of frequency? What are the adverbs of frequency and what do they mean? How do we use them? Question how often and ways to answer this question. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Goodbye and I'll see you in lesson 7. Bye.